Record to the cloud. You guys nervous?
No. Yeah.
Okay, and let's live on Facebook. Now we are recording. Now I'm setting up the page.
And now for the weather.
I feel like, what are you doing? I feel like I am becoming boring because I am starting to be really fascinated by the weather. And like, did you guys see the forecast this week? It kept changing.
We asked the robot, because if I say her name, she starts listening. So we ask the robot every morning what it is. And it happens at least 3 times because I'll ask and I'll stop listening. That's about it again.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go live in 5, 4.
And we're live.
Oh, does it say the little thing on the screen?
Yeah, it says live.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Hi, Internet. It's Hudgens Talks again. I'm Kate Driscoll, the Hudgens Public Programs Manager, and I'll let the others introduce themselves, starting with Ty.
I'm Ty Nicholson, the Ceramic Studio Manager at the Hudgens.
And we have today as our guest Amanda Shelnutt. And Amanda, tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Amanda Shelnutt, and I was the previous director at the Quinlan Visual Arts Center for 10 years. I actually worked there for 15 years. Before that, I worked for a fine art conservation firm. I have an art history degree that people didn't really think I was going to be able to do anything with. And I've been on lots of different boards and committees. I have a passion for public art and arts education and all of that. So I started my own business 6 months ago. Great timing, I know. And now I'm here doing an artist talk. And I dabble. I paint watercolors and do miniatures and I knit. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah, she's multi-talented. So will you give people a little bit of an idea of why you got into what you got into? So what drew you to your field?
What drew me to my field? Well, I think I originally was going to be a business major, and that wasn't nearly as much fun as going to into art school. So I was a studio art major for a while, and I realized how much I appreciated art history and what art can say about a people, and how it has this common ability to unite a vast variety of people and geography, and just you can find your community within the arts. So I started getting into nonprofits, just sort of dumb luck, and I did not know anything then. And so I kind of got a crash course in nonprofits while I was working for them this last 15 years. So that's where I am.
Originally getting into art history, what were you hoping to do with that degree?
Well, I didn't really know. So I went to grad school and I studied a lot more in depth, and I love medieval and Italian Renaissance, and I did not really like libraries and dusty books. What was appealing about moving into the arts at a nonprofit level was working with artists who were alive. You know, instead of speculating what they were thinking when they created something, was being able to actually say, what does this represent? Or what am I supposed to be seeing? What brought you to this point? And to watch people's careers develop and where they start to when they really take off, that's been a really great pleasure of mine.
Yeah,
And
I've heard that with art history, like you kind of just have to keep going on to the doctoral program too.
And I wasn't quite cut out for that. I was tired. I spent a lot of times in libraries, and I was just kind of like, I need people.
Yeah.
I need around people. Although some days I'm like, oh, I don't want to be around people.
I want dusty books.
Yes, I want those dusty books again. So.
and so today you've prepared a bit of a presentation for us.
I have.
Oh
That's
my
a nice
gosh.
segue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the share screen thing. And we'll get started on art and the Great Quarantine, coping and finding your purpose during a pandemic. And this, originally I had an idea to do something about juried shows and entering juried shows and putting yourself out there. But it kind of morphed into my own journey through this, this pandemic and all the unrest that we've had right now, and how art really helped me. I do have to have a warning that coping with things, I use humor is my coping mechanism, and it's how I get through things. I'm not going to diminish the severity of COVID-19 at all. But this is just kind of how I found my place and my purpose through all this. So first slide, nobody expects a global pandemic. And you don't. We were all really not prepared for this. And the rush on toilet paper was the one thing I saw. And I kept seeing people online making art about toilet paper. I was like, that's like actually a thing. People are losing their dang minds. So my logical side kicked in. I'm like, okay, I got to alter my current plan. I got to come up with a new plan. Adjust your goals. So you're going to have a new plan, you're going to have new goals. 2020 is going to be an anomaly year, and everyone knows that. And the big thing is that the struggle is universal, and everyone's going through this together. As an art community, as a people, as nonprofits, people are scared, sad, isolated. This collective experience, and all of these feelings do create a range of things you see in people. You see good, you see bad, you see ugly. But mostly I'm going to focus on the good right now, because that's where my head's at. So what now? You're in a pandemic. Art creation can be isolating, but this is ridiculous. All of a sudden, we're at home, and artists need each other. They need to network. We need our art centers. We need all of our societies. We've got a gabillion of them. And this is just off the top of my head. And all of these people, they had plans for this year. They were going to be doing things together. They were going to be doing shows. They were going to be having classes. There were plans to be had. And there we go, Hudgens Center. Yes. So what now? What's really going to be happening? So here's my own little strange story. So as I said, I've been at the same nonprofit for 15 years. And decided that I'd help transition through the new director through March. So March 3rd was actually my last day. I wasn't really working. I got to be a guest at the gala auction, first time in 15 years. And we got all dressed up. We bid on art. Everyone had a marvelous time. And then everything came to a grinding pause. And just immediately, that next week, all of a sudden, we're all like, oh, this was coming? Are we, okay, this is a thing. We're now at home. So I was kind of reeling, because I'd established 6 clients in my first 6 months. I had an art center I was helping, a public art nonprofit that was getting off the ground, several individual artists. I was formulating shows and helping people write press releases, writing some grants. I was working all on my terms. It was great. So when it stopped, I was fortunate that I had the kiddos. I have a stepson and a son. Were in kindergarten. Thank goodness I didn't have to learn new math, because that would have been a real big problem. And I had hobbies. So, every online art challenge, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then, yep, I'll do that. And then, okay, we're going to make the kids learn about art, and this is great. So I burned through about all of that in the first 2 weeks before I was like, now what? So for me, it was crippling depression and idleness. First time in my adult life, I felt like contributing anything to society. Nagging lack of purpose, insecurity, second guess myself, worried about everything, worried about all the what ifs, and underlying everything was this fear, this like uncertainty and fear. And it was an icky place for me. Luckily, it didn't last long. My husband likes to say worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. And it's because it gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere. So how do you stay engaged in the world when you just don't want to? And I'm talking about those days that you might pull the covers over your head and tell the kids, go ahead and eat Pop-Tarts, get mommy one too. Or you feel like completely justified in watching everything in Jane Austen's visual catalog, like every movie that you have, just because, and maybe just me, but I don't know anyone else that does that. But those days where you're really just, I was in a serious funk. So of course, my best friend gave me a call. I don't know how she knows, but she has this weird radar when it comes to me. And she gave me the same advice that she gave me after I had my baby: get up, wash your hair, put something on other than leggings. And she reminded me how much I liked art. And she said, you know, you're an artist, so you kind of need to just shut up and make art. And I was like, really? You know, I made these weird postcards at Christmas that people really liked. And she said, why don't you make them quarantine themed? And I was like, really? I mean, they're weird enough already, but so I did. I started making these like, wish you were here, not really. You know, I'm over here, you're over there. It's probably better this way. Everything is beautiful. Wait, everything is here with you were beautiful. I mean, I made all of those, and it was just sort of ridiculous. I called them quarantines, like when you want to reach out and say hello, but not allowed to touch anybody. So I just started making myself laugh, basically. And a weird thing happened. I found these people online, and they are selling artwork online. It's a folk art festival. I started selling postcards, and it was very surreal. I sold about 100 of them, and then somebody had seen them and found these people doing an online art show that is completely COVID themed, and it's how people cope, how I was coping with things. Other people were doing the exact same thing. Let's see, I even found this miniaturist group, and there's some people in here that are even crazier than I am. I made a teeny bottle of sriracha this week, not because I should, but just because I could. And so I found these strange people. And then a group of artists, a lot of them I didn't know, I only knew a couple in the group, got together and started doing this thing called art trading cards. And they're these small 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards. And so we just started making them and sending them to strangers. And so what did I find? I found people. Like, I mean, you can't be around them so much, but they're still here. They're just elsewhere, safely distanced. We started getting some really fun stuff in the mail. And he was a lot more excited than this picture looks, but he loves to check the mail. And we were getting art in the mail almost every day. And then I started getting some commissions. People were like, will you paint a picture of my house? Sure, I'll paint a picture of your house. And so these things just started happening. And in that process, I found some of my lost purpose, and it catalyzed me and it energized me. So with my renewed optimism, I was thinking, what else? What else can I do? So I'm a big fan of education. Webinars used to be kind of a dirty word when I was going into the office every day. I have to stop what I'm doing and put the phone on hold and take a webinar. But they've been great. I took some on just general nonprofits issues, because I'm still working with nonprofits that are slowly starting to come back. Fundraising online, fundraising after a pandemic, all of these things, the ways. It's just like a refresher, just sharpening your saw to things you think you already know. might as well go in and take a webinar. Hosting virtual events, and that's going to be something that's key in a minute. Small businesses, it's just me, I'm my own employee, so I'm a small business. Pandemic parenting, you have a Pop-Tart day and you start wondering if you're a bad mom. So that, self-care and routine, when your routine's been turned upside down. And then I found a series for professional women. So a lot of these were free. You go to your community foundations, you go to your chambers of commerce, get on all of their email lists and things, and you can find just this kind of thing that you can take. So I also found online art demos. It's no surprise that you can learn just about anything from YouTube. What I was surprised about is some of my favorite artists were also doing online demos. And some are free. Again, this is Dylan Pierce, best watercolorist ever, just ever. But some are free, some you pay for, some cost more than others. I don't think it's a permanent solution for the classroom environment, because as artists, I think we do crave that classroom environment and that camaraderie and being around people and the laughter and sharing and struggling with your work. But the Quinlan's doing a couch camp right now for kids, and that's Fox. She's a good friend of mine, and she's the art camp director, so she was thinking outside the box. And then I found some great stuff for kids. There's this one, this little logo is they're called Art for Kids Hub. And my kids would come in and be like, we want to draw too. So some of my favorite memories through all of this is like, we're sitting down at the dining room table and we're going to make art, and it's quiet and there's no electronics. There might be some music playing. And I'm just like, wow, what a great opportunity to learn something new. We're all going to draw together. So I love the online options here. What else did I do? I checked on my people. And you can substitute art friends here for crafting friends. They are not okay. We are not okay. This was my pandemic mask. I was challenged to make things out of household items, and it was like Google eyes and drink umbrellas and a party hat and stick a little coffee filter down in there, and you're good to go to the store. So your art friends may not be okay. So I spent some time just calling and connecting with people and saying, hey, how are you? What are you struggling with? Can I make you laugh today? What can I help you with from way over here? And I found that many, like me, were finding opportunities online, getting some work done, getting some commissions. My friend in the previous slide was painting a mural today. I actually stopped paint on me because I went and I helped her. And I'm finding just some really wonderful opportunities online, and artists that are selling through their galleries online. So that's just really good. The good news. The research I've done, some of the webinars I've taken say that the market's recovering. Nonprofit organizations like the Hudgens Center, they're still here for you. They're just doing things a little differently, and they still need you, because an art center without artists is not as much fun. Galleries are selling, even if it's online. Jury shows are still absolutely happening. I'm going to be jurying one from afar next month. And I'm thrilled that these opportunities are still happening, because you can put yourself out there. You can join a show, even if it's virtual. A lot of times there's prize money. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth looking into and doing some online searches. Art festivals and shows are still happening, but they may be virtual this year. I think Art Basel in Miami is doing some online things, and that's like a biggie. People are still buying art, and I think my takeaway from that is that we're figuring out that as humans, we need art. Don't stop believing. We need it. Everyone needs the arts. They need to, I'm so sorry. They need to feel good. And art makes you feel good, lifts you up. And I'm finding a lot of people who are lifting each other up and through these forums, and it's just good for the soul. We're all in it together. So what I hope you'll take away from my little quirky presentation is that you can't control the uncontrollable, you know that, but you can do something about your world, and you're not alone. Everyone's struggling. It's worthwhile to take the time to learn something new, inventory your work, create your own virtual gallery, gallery or an Etsy shop, update the visuals on your website, because sometimes that can get tired, and just clean house, make it fresh. It's safe. You can put yourself out there. You can enter a juried show. You can find an online forum. You can find an opportunity. They're there. And find your tribe. For me, I found all my weirdos, the folk artists and the miniaturists, and just the people that just needed to connect. So everything is going to be all right. So that is my presentation today. Does anyone have any questions?
Did you wear that elephant mask to the store, for real?
I did. I did. I was like asking if I get extra points for wearing it to the Publix. I got a lot of looks. I
feel like plague masks could really make a comeback.
That was the whole point. I was like, what would give me like a plague? And I found an old party hat, and I'm like, oh, well, that.
Yeah. I mean, it's covering your face. It's keeping people from being infected, and it's a little nod to the bubonic plague. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna not go down this aisle while she's here.
So, would you say like it's been the best of times, been the worst of times for you the past few months?
Yeah, I have some people in my immediate circle who are immunocompromised, and so not being able to be remotely near anybody that has that issue has been hard. I miss people, but the time that I have had with my family has actually been really quality. We're getting very creative on how we occupy our time in very different ways. Like glow stick dance parties are a thing every other day here, and that's an easy thing to do.
What do you hope will be the long-term takeaways after this learning process or relearning process?
I think that what my hope is when things start going forward again, that this whole experience has taught people that art is essential. I don't know if you saw, people would post things like people singing opera from balconies or playing music for one another, or making signs for the frontline workers during all this. And I think that this coming together and this lifting up could translate into, art is important. We needed it so badly while we were, stuck. All those museums that put these virtual shows up for free. My hope is that people will see the value that they had from that and invest in that, like invest in their own art collection, take a class, go to an art event, buy some art, those sort of things.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing too, because after the newness of, being stuck at home and having to scour the internet for things to do, as that wears off, like how does one keep the importance of creative expression alive in those people that are possibly going to continue having to stay at home and do the same things over and over again? How do you make it more interesting, I wonder?
For me, it's kind of, you go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and I try to kind of keep things sort of diverse. So one week I repainted some outdoor chairs and then decided I was going to put mandalas on them, so how do I do that? I have stencils, but I want to embellish them. Oh, I bet there's somebody online that might have done something very much like that. And then you go down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden you're learning about the history of what a mandala is, and seeing really neat little shortcuts on how to do it. And so for me, I'm just kind of looking around my environment and seeing how I can change my immediate environment. But I also am always looking for good conversation. So calling people, or checking in with them, having conversation. I think that really helps keep me engaged. Like, oh, that's a really good idea. I'm best when I can bounce ideas. And yesterday, Kate and I got to sit and have some face-to-face time, and I was like, this has been so fun. Call me anytime, So I think even using this platform to call some like-minded friends, I sent a group of ladies, friends of mine, a kazoo and a note to learn their new favorite song or their favorite song of all time, and that we were going to schedule a Zoom call and each play for each other. So I do weird stuff like that just to kind of keep it interesting.
A Kazoom call.
A Kazoom.
You're in. TM.
You're invited.
Yeah.
Changing the world one pun at a time.
You know, it's really interesting thinking about this whole pandemic thing. It's like digital technology and screen time is something that we've been pushing against so much for the last, since really video phones and everything started really coming about. It's always been this like kind of like Dracula thing. And now that this is our only outlet to the outside world, everybody's like, oh, this is amazing. Look at all the great things we can do. Screen time's important. The shift has been really interesting. And what you were saying as well, like people getting out there and collaborating, like we've seen it on our end with art centers, like communicating with one another and having access to have some FaceTime with other arts, studio managers, let's say, of art center has been really important because, emails can only get you so far.
Absolutely. And when I was the director of the art center, I would meet quarterly with some other arts organizations that were similar within a certain mile radius. And so it wasn't necessarily those that were in my community proper. They might be in a county or two away. And there wasn't really a forum for us to do that. And we exchanged all kinds of ideas and thoughts, and we'd even warn each other about you're going to find this person, they're going to come in and ask to do this, but you can't trust them. So it's like we could create this little network, and I think that it can still be done virtually like this. I mean, when you see a face, and I was so excited to see Kate yesterday. I was like, people.
What advice would you give artists right now?
Oh, paint or draw every day. Every day. Take the time and just do it. Even if you feel like you don't want to do it. I have a friend that has some artist block and is having a hard time finding the joy that she would normally find in creation. And sometimes you just have to push through, I think, or talk to people about it.
I have an addition to that, actually. I'll one-up you, Kate. What advice would you give to art majors or art history majors at this time? People that are coming towards the end of their academic career or may have just graduated.
Okay. When I had just graduated, I'm thinking I had a lot of jobs. I tried a little bit of everything. I did some food service. I interned at a big museum, and I did it for free so that I could get that experience. I worked for a law office and learned a lot about office industry and phone etiquette. I mean, there were just I sort of created my own education for what I ended up doing, which I wasn't really even sure how that even happened, but I was ready to be in that nonprofit. I was ready to interview. I just think that opportunity sometimes comes in unexpected places. So if you're graduating, keep your resume up to date. Don't be afraid to reach for something that might be a little bit out of your reach. Have the experience, have the nose. A really good artist friend of mine who passed, I got one of his sketchbooks, and he had stacks and stacks of sketchbooks, and his daughter gave me one, and I was flipping through it when I was kind of down and seeing some of his beautiful work, and he wrote, "Let failure be your friend." And I was just like, oh, still talking to me, He died a little over a year ago, and I'm like, he's still talking to me. He's right. Let put yourself out there. It's the same as an artist who might be intimidated to be in a jury show, from one of the big societies, but put yourself out there and try it.
That's really good advice. I like the let failure be your friend. I think that's really hard. I mean, one thing that people always say about kids, why they're so great at learning, is they're not as afraid of failing. So I think
you're not too close of a friend. You're like a good Facebook friend. Failure could be.
Yeah, yeah, good Facebook friend.
Yeah.
But it's so true because you learn so much more from failing than you do from succeeding.
Yes.
And then, so I know you haven't been the executive director of the Quinlan. Is it about a year now?
Um, let's see. The new director started in October, so coming up on it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But
But I
I'm
helped her.
sure.
I came in and helped her through the fundraising season.
Mhm.
So I was there for like 6 months in a limited capacity, and she can call me anytime. So I like to help transition that place.
Do you still
They
find
help
yourself?
me.
Do you still find yourself like in that mindset though, like with everything that's going down with um, everything? Do you find yourself thinking, oh man, if I were an ED at an art nonprofit, I would be doing this, and this, and such and such.
Yeah, I think it's easy to like to think about it because it was so much a part of my day-to-day life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the alarm went off and I'd get the phone call and I'd go over there and check and make sure that everything was okay. And
Totally.
it was just like a daily. It was just and having building issues and things like that. So it was like it was so much a part of everything. I had to make a real conscious effort to take a step back and let it go. But I do think about nonprofit issues, so that's why I started taking a lot of those webinars about what are these small to medium nonprofits looking
Mm-hmm.
at, like what are potential clients for me going to be looking at in the new reality after all of this.
What would you recommend they start doing? Like, are there specific webinars they should check out, or any like programs where you're just like, oh man, I'd be getting into that?
It's sort of the same approach that I'm taking is I like to make sure that, people don't forget like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So getting in front of some of these like community foundations that are offering such excellent resources is never a bad idea. Calling and asking people for some advice, specific advice. There are a lot of smart people out there that can point you in the right direction. I think people are going to see that they need their nonprofit art centers, and I think things will work out. But it is going to be a good opportunity to kind of start fresh. Like all the things that we had planned to do, we can't do them. So what's the next step? And not being afraid to try something new. I think sometimes you get in the, well, this is how it's always been done kind of rut. So I'm excited to see what organizations come up with. And I try to participate. Like, oh, there's a baby hippo habitat and they need money. So I'm going to send them a little money. And now I can go and check and look at the baby hippo on live webcam anytime I want. So.
That's a really great point. There is that this is the way it's always been type of thing. And that's, I think that's kind of universal with art centers.
Absolutely.
Especially ones that have been around for a long time. And now I think is the times where you have to expand past your kind of heavy craft based mediums. But that being said, how do you still, or how would you suggest an art center still address the needs of these like on-site craft-based mediums that, like ceramics, for instance, or textiles or anything like that?
Right. And that's going to be hard because we're in this uncharted territory. We have to listen to what the CDC recommends, what the different municipalities are recommending. I mean, you're putting your hands in the dirt and making pots. Is everyone wearing a mask these days? I mean, there's nothing that's going to substitute walking into like an art center shop and picking up a pot and feeling it and saying, I'm going to buy this. You don't necessarily do that online, although it can and it does happen. But I think as we're getting back out there, we're going to see the need to adjust, and maybe it's smaller class sizes. I don't know. The Quinlan is doing art camp for the very different way this year, and they're doing like 2 smaller classes with this time in between for like sanitation. There's a lot of information out there right now on how to reopen safely, and the things like the checklist of things that you're going to need, like cleaning supplies and hand wash stations, and I mean, there's things you can do to get more people in, but they're talking also about have everyone that comes in sign a waiver. You know, it's enter and take classes at your own risk. If you don't feel well, don't come. So I think that we're going to have to start drilling that into everyone's head. It's okay to put yourself out there physically too, but let's just be smart about it.
I think you are right. That's something that I think our culture is not great at. Is we're just very much a culture of just muscle through it, get through it. If you feel sick, just, we always say if you feel sick, don't come in. But a lot of times we give that advice to others. But then when it comes to ourselves, we're like, no, I'm so critical that I can't not be here. And it's like, you know what? You're not that big a deal. You can be sick.
Well, delegating, recognizing when you're sick and knowing your own limitations, being able to just kind of step back and let go.
And I'm more talking about myself of being like,
oh yeah,
you're not that big a deal. You can just be sick. Everyone's going to survive. Everyone will be okay.
I think it's still part of our like industrial revolution, like genes. Yes. It's like still ingrained into us. Like, work forever, and then you get some years of retirement, and then you fall over in your rocking chair if you're lucky.
I'm glad that you think it's gonna happen in a rocking chair.
It's probably no.
My mom is happy. This is happy time. Suck it up, just suck it up and go and power through, and you'll feel better. Kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm just a wimp sometimes.
Yeah, my parents too. That's a big thing of like, you're fine, just do it. Mind over matter.
Work ethic.
Yeah, it's a work ethic thing.
I'm gonna prop myself up with some Theraflu and power through, but we kind of don't live in that world anymore.
Well, especially now, it's like, please don't come in if you don't feel well. If we're gonna try and get back to normal, we're gonna have to take that a little more seriously. But
are you taking people's temperatures when they come in?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you can now come see the Hudgens galleries by appointment. Just email me, kdriscoll@thehudgens.org. It's on the website if I'm not enunciating enough for you to guess the spelling of my name. And yeah, you can make an appointment to come to the galleries. We just ask that people wear masks and socially distance. We're trying to follow the CDC guidelines and have everyone 6 feet apart. We take temperatures upon entering the building. We write them down. So yep, we are trying our best to get back to normal. But like you said, Amanda, it's like finding a new normal and something that works for us and trying
that you can all be comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to learn some lessons from what's gone on and not just say, okay, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of it has to deal with being flexible too. It's like in being open to the changing guidelines and knowing like it is a little annoying to have your forehead scanned, like some dystopian future, but it is necessary to ensure the safety of the people around you and the people that work at a building. And in addition to people coming to the galleries, we have started a kind of soft reopening of our studios as well. Definitely limiting how many bodies are in there at any time. And the same thing, check in, check out. If you're sick, stay home. Yeah, it's interesting. It's presented a lot of challenges, but I think, and I don't know if this is true for every art center, but for us, it's been interesting because I feel like everybody that is working at the Hudgens brought their A game to this challenge. You're like, okay, we'll figure something out. I don't think there was a day when we were just like, we won't survive. Like, no, this is what we're going to do to make it to that
that's
next
why
stage.
I'm going with good vibes, optimism. I kind of had to dig myself out of a crippling depression. Did I say that already? Yes.
I went through the Jane Austen phase as well.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to lay in bed and cry and watch Jane Austen. But haven't had a day like that in a while. But I wanted to know, what do you have on view at the Hudgens Center right now, Kate?
We have two shows. So we've got a photography show. It's called Stan's and Ansel Adams Footsteps. And it's a bunch of photographers that are from the GNPA, which is the Georgia Nature Photographers Association. And the whole show is, so they're all amateur photographers, but they're shooting in the style of Ansel Adams. And it was juried, and they always try and get a juror that has like a direct link to Ansel Adams. So this year's was Mark Green, and he had done a workshop with Ansel Adams when he was like 20, I think. And so he judged that based on what he knew of working with Ansel Adams. And then the other show we have is called Southern Values, and that's curated by Mary Stanley. And it's these three women artists, Joni Mabe, Amanda Green, and Shaniqua Gay. And their work is all really different, but it's all centered around Southern identity, Southern experience, specifically Southern female experience. And they have really different styles. They work in, they take different approaches, work in different mediums. And so Joni Mabe does a lot of like installation, assemblage sort of stuff. Amanda Green's a photographer, and then Shaniqua Gay did this beautiful mural for us in there, which is going to kill me when we have to paint over it for the next exhibition.
But I like that it has that temporary nature too. It's sort of an interesting, it's such a gorgeous show.
I know, it kind of makes it like this really like special thing. Like you can only see it in this place at this time, this finite period.
Yeah.
Right.
It's special.
Leaves on a tree. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I like the kind of ephemeral nature of that, because people, especially art makers and especially ceramicists, get hung up on this archivalness, like it lasts forever. It's like, but does it really need to? I mean, it could be wonderful and it's beautiful and it's important, but does it need to last forever? You know.
I remember hearing someone say, it's not about art, but it was about experience. Like it was like, it was about people always taking pictures of everything you do and putting it on social media. And they're saying, isn't it special for you to just experience something? And when you tell someone about it, you say you had to be there because it was just that special. Right. And like, I can't, a picture is not going to convey what was happening. So like, just be in the moment, experience it. I kind of feel that way about this show. Like you had to be there. Like we have a whole album of pictures of it on our Facebook page. And I've done a video, which you can also see sort of taking you through, but you have to be there. It's just different when you're there in person.
It's like seeing it, like being there for the volcano eruption, but if the volcano eruption was like 1,000 years long, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, okay.
But yeah, it's always going on.
Yeah, you haven't seen the volcano eruption? Where have you been?
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that, the thought of things needing to be archival, and then this is clearly meant to be temporary. It makes me think about my very first pot that I got to go this way. And I was so proud of it. I was like, oh, I finally got something that went this way. And my teacher made me cut it in half.
Oh, yeah.
With the string and do like, and I was like, I can't. No, this is part of it, and misfires and things breaking and temporary.
Those who have taken classes with me, I am a big believer in get rid of it if it's not good or if it's giving you problems, because once ceramics is fired, it will last 50,000 years in the right conditions. And like, your lumpy pot, do you really want that thing to be left behind for the aliens to discover? It's like, no, you want that really awesome thing that's really nice and perfect and has the great handle. It's like, if it's not right, just don't worry about it.
If it doesn't spark joy, let it go.
Yeah, right. I mean, because we as makers can get really hung up over everything working out perfectly, and and I keep saying this, but like ceramics is one of those mediums that it will get you when it wants to. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Something can go wrong, and you just have to be open to that thing changing. Kind of circling back to this pandemic, it's like it's something that's gone wrong and things are changing, but how do we move forward and kind of roll with the punches and make something new and better?
I completely agree.
Amanda, what is a project you're working on right now you're really excited about?
I'm really excited. I'm doing a commission for a friend whose wife is having their second child, and she is from Thailand, and he wanted to do the Chinese zodiac for representing each member of their family, and so I'm making him this book. Oh, and it's got like when they met, when they got married, and the first baby, and everyone is their year, like year of
Oh,
the
that's so
monkey.
cute.
So that's like a little, just makes me feel good. And so that's really it. And I'm doing Bigfoot cards right now. That sort of evolved from the quarantines, like the social distancing world champs. So I did a series of like Chupacabra, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and aliens. And I'm all up in Bigfoot for whatever reason right now. I don't know why.
I have an unrelated question, but it has to do with Bigfoot.
He's not real, Ty.
Listen, I know if the dogs get out on the porch, there's a Squatch outside.
Same.
What is it about this region of the United States in Sasquatch? I'm from the West, and like that was never a huge thing outside of like, the one Bigfoot. I thought there was only one. There's many apparently.
Well, there is a Bigfoot museum.
Oh yes, I've been there.
I have too, because it's on the way to my folks' cabin, and they tell you all the stories, and like there's the Yeti, and they have all these different names for them. But what I thought was interesting is when I made the Chupacabra, someone that saw it on the folk art website bought it, and she's in like Southern California.
Oh yeah.
And then a friend bought my my Nessie, social distancing world champ, and sent it to her friend in Scotland. And so like, and then all of the Bigfoot ones that I sold were all kind of like Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And I'm like, wow, they're all the folklore is really regional. I knew that, but I got to see it in my commissions. So
yeah, I love the Chupacabra. It's been a while since I've heard that. That was a kind of big, and yeah.
I made his little like rolls. He was kind of like a little fleshy hairless cat,
Mary Frances just chimed in on the chat and said Squatch is real.
I've heard this.
Yeah, so I think that was directed at me because I had said that slanderous thing about the Sasquatch not being real.
Yeah. Oh, don't go saying that in that Bigfoot museum, because they take it very seriously. So you don't joke when you go.
Don't laugh in there.
Don't joke at the Bisbee Bigfoot Museum, you guys.
No,
it's not a joke.
Takeaway.
Well, if you laugh too much, you're the one when you're camping that gets killed by this Bigfoot.
Yeah,
you're
he's laughing
one.
now.
Yeah.
Glad to think this is funny. Well, all right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching Hudgens Talk. And Amanda, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. This is such a nice, uplifting message.
Well, thank you. This has been super fun. I like the challenge, and I like working with Kate again. She's my favorite.
Oh, you guys heard it here first. I am her favorite. She can't take it back.
I don't know if y'all knew Kate was an intern a million years ago, one of the first interns that ever worked with me. And so I'm super proud of her.
Oh, I'm proud of you too.
She's a good Squatch.
You too, Ty. We're proud of you too. All right, guys. Until next time, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.
I think you have